Today we're going to talk about the benefits of integrating Amicus Premium Billing with Amicus Attorney and Premium Front Office. So we'll highlight each individual item here, the advantages of dealing with one company for both your front and your back office, the advantage of only having to use one product or one solution, again for your front and back office, the integration of the billing and the front office. It's actually not integrated, it's all one program, so there is no links, and there's a definite advantages there. Amicus Premium Billing gives you a complete view of your client and files from both the front and the back office perspective, and there's a series of benefits and advantages to that. We've also incorporated proactive tools in Premium Billing that sort of work like your own personal billing assistant, and help you manage the office better and keep on top of your clients. Natural workflow, which everyone is familiar with Amicus Attorney. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit about the link we have with QuickBooks that lets you post your billing activity to QuickBooks. So let's begin. Okay, so the benefits of one company and one product. Your technical support and updates are all from Gavel & Gown, from Amicus. You don't have to purchase separate support contracts from two separate companies. If you have an issue currently with a link, sometimes you have to deal with both vendors. That can add time to getting your issues resolved and getting your bills out on time. So definite advantage there. Supported versions. As newer versions of software are released, often the separate vendors have not tested each other's software. So with an integrated product, you will never run into that issue because you're dealing with one company and one product. There's nothing new to install with Premium Billing. So it's not a separate install and then a link and you have to worry about how it gets installed. You basically just enable it. It's just a licensing issue. Alright, so basically you call us, you license it, and it's available. Because Amicus Attorney is so easy to use, onboarding and training new users is going to be easy. You already know how to use Amicus Attorney. We've designed Premium Billing along the same workflow and design, so you're going to know how to use Amicus Premium Billing. Okay, the benefits, no link. There's no complicated link to install, no complicated link to support and troubleshoot. Very real efficiencies there. There's no double entry for creating files, editing and deleting entries. A lot of those links are currently out there right now. Yes, you can create entries and that'll duplicate it in the other program, but if you have to make an edit or a correction or you have to delete it, you have to do it in both systems. Very inefficient. And as a result of this no link, because we are one system, you're going to get more timely billing. More timely billing, your bills are going to get out faster, your client's going to get them quicker, it's going to improve cash flow and revenues. Visibility. Okay, so we have the integration of both the case and the financial information. Allows you to stay on top of your cases from both the professional and the account side. And sometimes you need both sides of that picture to make decisions on how you proceed on a case. Your firm members are more informed, and it improves decision making both tactically and strategically. All right, and we're going to demonstrate that when we do the demonstration. Our proactive tools, and we will demonstrate this as well, is we have some billing alerts modeled around the dailies that you currently have and enjoy in Amicus. We also have these in billing, so you're going to know who owes you money, who should be billed, when is the work in progress or accounts receivable getting too high. Draft bills are ready for me to review. Again, and especially for those smaller firms, this can be very helpful when maybe you have a bookkeeper who comes in once a week or once every other week. We also have some dashboards that give you at a glance a view of how your firm is doing from time billing and collections perspective, as well as a timesheet statistics graph that gives you a visual representation of how you're performing against goals you've set for yourself and for your staff. Natural workflow. Again, this stems from the integration, but you do your work, you bill your work from the same solution. It's not a link. Okay. Again, you're going to capture more billable time, and that's going to equate to higher revenues. We're eliminating manual data entry and corrections. This also improves efficiency and reduces costs. We recognize that it not only accountants and bookkeepers deal with the account and billing side of a file. So we let you view data, do data entry, etc., either from the client or transaction-centric viewpoint. So we work the way you do, not the other way around. And because Amicus Attorney is legal specific, so is our billing. So we handle things like trust accounting, electronic billing, the productivity reports that a law firm typically need, which you can't get out of a general billing and accounting package. All right, so let's begin with the demo. Okay. Let's start off, first of all, in the office. The first thing I want you to notice here is the Navigator. So you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, this is billing, but it's attorney. It's both. And we segregate the two, which is great, because if I'm an attorney and I don't really deal with the back end, you know, I just want to continue working an attorney as I always have. So we have this great little toggle here which lets me navigate between billing functionality and front office functionality. Okay, so that's fantastic. So let's assume I start my day, I come in, and I'm used to using the dailies. All right, so I typically come in here, I look at my practice reminders and look at what appointments and tasks I have upcoming. Now, if I go to the billing side, we have something called today's billing reminders. Okay, and this is a great little proactive tool that is unique to Amicus Attorney. And what this allows me to do is basically, when a client comes in, a brand new client or file, I may not know them, so I may want to monitor their activity and make sure I stay on top of it for sake of productivity. So for instance, brand new client comes in, I've never dealt with them in the past, so maybe I don't want to do any work for them once their accounts receivable reaches a certain balance. So I want to make sure that their balance always stays below a certain amount. So I can go into the file, set it up, and say, let me know if this file's accounts receivable balance exceeds $1,000 or $2,000. I can do the same thing with work in progress. So maybe I don't want to accumulate too much work on a file and not have it go billed. And the last example I want to give you is billing process often require the draft bills to be printed out, put on the attorney's desk where they mark it up, and it's a back and forth process. We allow you here to basically indicate whenever a draft bill is ready to be reviewed for a specific attorney, you can notify the attorney through this billing reminders. Then you get this nice little screen here, and it gives you links directly to the information pertaining to the topic here. So for instance, here I have 5 files where accounts receivable balances are greater than the file threshold. Well, okay, so I have 5 files here that I have to deal with the accounts receivable in one way or another. So all I do is click the little hyperlink there, and what it'll do is it'll open up a report that details those 5 individual files, and it shows me the accounts receivable for the file, the aging, and I also get the name and phone number here. So I can go ahead now and print off this sheet, and if I need to make phone calls to this client, so I need to call Frank Williamson because they have an accounts receivable balance of $2,500 that is outstanding for greater than 60 days. Okay, so very helpful. I can do it myself, or I can hand it off to my assistant. So I get instant access to the information, and you know, if I was going to work on that file today, maybe I'm going to choose not to now because you know, we have an issue here. Also, I'm the attorney. I walk in. Someone has prepared draft bills for me to review. Great. So all I have to do is come in here, basically click draft bills are ready for your review, and that'll take me to the draft bill screen where I can go ahead and proceed to look at the bill. I can have a little summary here, the details, etc. So these billing reminders are great, especially for a smaller firm that doesn't have a full-time person dealing with the back end. All right, so very straightforward. In addition to that, we also have a billing manager. Okay, and all the billing manager is a nice little dashboard which gives you specifics, or gives you an overall visual summary of how your firm is doing. So instead of waiting for your accountant to tell you at the end of the year, or your bookkeeper, or running reports and sort of going through those reports, I can just come in here and say, okay, for work in progress, accounts receivable, I can see what the amount is, the aging, and the percentage. And if I look at this, you know, from time to time, I can start to I can start to monitor trends, see if the firm is doing better or not doing better, and it helps me make decisions. Okay, so here I can see for work in progress, most of the stuff is current, which means I'm billing in a timely manner. Accounts receivable as well, for the most part, most of the AR is current, but I do see that I have over 30% of my accounts receivable is 120%. So that's a cause for action. I'd run a report to see what's going on there, and I'm able to react in a timely manner. The last one here is a nice little graph which shows me the time fee and collections for a period of time. And I can specify any time. I can do it by responsible attorney, by file type, by billing category. So I can slice and dice the data any way I want. The nice thing here, of course, is it's visual. It's a lot easier for me to make sense. You know, I can look at this and I can see, okay, I've entered a lot of fees for March, and I've been entering fees all along since October, but I haven't been doing very well on collections except for the month of October. You know, so this is a cue for me to beef up collection efforts, start sending out reminder notices, start making phone calls to clients, and refocus the resources on the firm to do what we need done. The last one I wanted to show you real quickly, I'm going to go back to the attorney side, and I'm going to go to Timesheets. Now, you have the statistics, but now you have this great little graph. You see all these numbers here which give you tons of rich information, very powerful, but it's a lot easier to view when I look at it here. And the nice thing here is I can set goals for myself, and then I can monitor my performance against the goals that I've set for myself. So here in orange I can see what I've budgeted or what my goals are, and in blue here shows me my actual. So it shows me how I'm doing, and I can see for the most part at this point and at that point I'm starting to exceed my goals, which is great, but then I kind of go flat for the last couple of days. And we project how you'll do for the end of the month if you continue with your current performance, and I can see here that I'm not going to meet my goals. So again, this is handy for me. Maybe I have to go and look to see if I've billed all my time, if I've entered all my time, run the time entry assistant, etc. But again, these are great little tools that give you a good perspective of both the how you're performing, both from a professional and a business side. So let's go to the files module. Now, in billing, we have similar modules as you see in attorney. So everyone's familiar with this files module in attorney. If I flip it over to billing, you'll notice I get the same list, but I get additional valuable information. All right, and so I can see here all the different files I have. I can use all these different filters to show exactly what I want. Maybe I only want to see files that I'm the responsible attorney for, but I can see my unposted fees, my work in progress, my accounts receivable, trust balances. So at a glance here, I can see all the balances for all the clients that matter. And the great thing here, of course, is I can sort by these different columns. So let's assume I want to look at accounts receivable. So I can highlight that, and it lists my files based on accounts receivable balances. So I can see here Jameson Incorporated owes me the most amount of money. All right. So again, I'm not running a report to do this. Okay. We talked about client versus transaction centric. Well, I'm an attorney. I'm used to working with files. Not like typical billing and accounting programs that sort of make you do the transaction and then specify the file. I want to do it right off the file. So I could actually come in here, highlight that file, I can right mouse click, and I can do any billing activity right from this file screen. Okay, it's completely flexible and it's going to work the way I want it to work. All right, I can hide any of these columns if I want. I can open up the individual file and I get even more details. Okay, so remember we showed you on the main screen where I can flip between attorney and billing. I can also do it on a file. So here's the familiar attorney side that you all know, and here is the billing side. So I get the same sort of rich information with complete details on the billing side. So the first screen you'll see here is all transactions. This shows me chronological list of all the activity that's occurred. And of course I can double click the entry to access the underlying details if I need to make a change or delete it. At the bottom I get this wonderful little account overview, which gives me an overall synopsis of how of all the activity that I've done on the file. So it shows me the fees and expenses that I've posted, what's sitting as work in progress, what have I billed, what has the client paid me, what's their current account receivable. Again, I'm not having to run a report, I'm not having to wait for the bookkeeper to tell me how this client is doing. And if I'm working on the file, I can always flip back and forth to make sure that the client is up to date on their payments, etc., before I continue to do work with them. I also have individual views of time, expenses, invoices, trust activity, etc. The other thing I quickly wanted to show you is because we are legal specific billing, there are controls in here that let you automate the billing and make your life a whole lot easier. If I go into accounting here, you'll notice first of all we have different billing categories. So we do handle fixed fee and contingency cases where I can specify a fixed fee amount. At billing time it'll know how to handle it. Contingency, the same thing. I can specify a percentage. I can enter in a settlement. It's going to record all that for me. And of course I can do task-based billing. So I can indicate that a file is a Leads 98 or litigation advisor file, and then submit the invoices electronically, which you have to do with many larger corporations and insurance companies. We also have what's called bill settings, and bill settings I can create a template and dictate how files are billed individually. Within here I can control which template I use, so I can have a different template for every file that I use. I can choose to email bills instead of actually print them. Okay, so I can have some that are printed and some that are email. I can use quotes and discounts. So if I quote a client a certain amount, I can put the dollar value in here, and what will happen when I invoice the client is it'll say, hey, you quoted the client $5,000, your work in progress is $6,000. What would you like to do? Would you like to decrease it or bill what you've worked on? We can choose to apply a discount, and we can do it as a percentage or fee. So if it's a long-term client, maybe they get a discount. I can handle that. And I also have billing behavior. So on mass billing, which you can do with Amicus Premium Billing, we can indicate what we want to happen when fees don't match what we've quoted. All right, we have a couple of other very legal specific items, whether or not we retain a retainer balance for the client, and that'll of course put it on the bill. So if you have a client, if a client's supposed to have $5,000 in trust with you at all times, you can indicate that, and at the time of billing it'll look to see what the trust balance is, and it'll add the difference to the end of the bill. And being a legal billing package, we also have different lawyer fee distribution methods. So we can have all the fees go to the responsible lawyer. We can prorate it. so that every attorney is apportioned the dollar value of the work they put into a file. You can have origination fees for rainmakers, so we handle all of that. And lastly is just the file alerts, which I just quickly alluded to earlier. I demonstrated on the billing dailies, and here is where I would indicate, warn if there's a draft bill ready to review, if the accounts receivable is greater than a certain amount, or the aging, etc. Okay, and of course, because I'm in the file details, I can also do transactions directly from here, as I could on the file index. Okay, but again, I get complete information and details and access to the underlying entries. We have the same sort of view for clients. So sometimes you have, you want to view your balances by client as opposed to by file. So for instance, here I have North American Trucking Company, and you'll notice a little parentheses beside the name, and that just indicates that there are 3 matters for that particular case. So I have a series of balances here for work in progress, accounts receivable, and trust. If I click the little plus sign here, what it'll do is it'll show me each of the matters that belong to North American Truck and show those individual balances. Again, like the file index, I can right-click and apply any billing transaction to the client just like I can with a file. So that's going to save me time. I don't have to, if I take a payment in for a client, I don't have to go do 3 separate receipts for each individual file. It knows how to handle it, so that's very efficient. Time, fees, and expenses. Here's the attorney side of the time, fees, and expenses. On the billing side, you have the same thing, but you have a lot more information. And again, you can specify what columns you want in there. But we do show the attorney. We show you the hours, the rate, the amount, whether or not it's been invoiced, is it sitting in work in progress, etc. The one thing I do want to show you about time entry, which is different for billing, is we have what's called billing behavior. By the way, so this is the time entry screen. Notice here we show you the information relating to the client with respect to their work in progress and accounts receivable. So if I'm about to do a time entry for this file, and I look at here and I see there's a high accounts receivable balance, I may decide that I don't want to do the work for this client at the time. Again, providing you the information you need to make the right decisions. You'll notice here we have billing behavior. So we have bill, we have no charge show on bill, and no charge don't show. So I can continue to record time on the file. I may not want to bill it, or maybe a contingency case where I do want to show the time entry, but I don't want a dollar value associated with it, or I want to record the time, but I don't want to show it because it's a fixed fee file, and the only reason I'm tracking my time is to track the productivity on that particular file, and then later on determine whether or not I'm making money on the file. So very flexible and billing specific. Trust is a module that basically, if you're in legal, you know how strict the law societies and the state bars are with trust accounting. So basically you can have as many trust bank accounts as you wish, and you can have as many files with funds in those accounts as you wish, and we keep track of all of that. We have checks and balances to make sure that you don't overdraw on your trust account. We provide you with the trust bank account reports that you need to satisfy your trust accounting obligations. But anyways, let's go ahead and build some files. I'm going to pretend I'm an attorney, and I'm going to bill maybe the way an attorney would. So I'm in here in the file index, and I'm going to bill based on the work in progress for fees. So I'm going to highlight that, and let's just say, for instance, that I have a rule that as soon as I get work in progress over $4,000, I bill my file. So I'm just going to simply highlight these 4 files, okay, which all exceed $4,000. I'm going to choose to right-click, and I'm going to bill. Okay, and what this does is it takes me to the Create Bill screens, and in here you'll notice I billed directly off the file index, but if I wanted to, I could have come in here and said Create Bills, and I could bill all my files or all my clients, or bill all my files for a particular responsible lawyer or a billing category. You can bill the way you bill. Amicus will let you do that. We have some additional inclusions here, so it allows me to specify bill if total new charges are greater than a certain threshold. I can also create a bill for past due accounts. So many firms do create bills if the if there's an existing AR balance. And there's also firms who maybe want to send the client the last bill once their account has reached zero. All right. At this point, I could send the bills to final to print and post if I wish, but most firms like to obviously review their bills and make edits before they finalize it. So I'm just going to choose send to draft, and what that does is it takes the billing to the next process, which is the draft bill. So here in the draft bill mode is where I would go and make any edits and review time entries. So for instance, if I click on the Jameson file here, I can see the bill overview. So this gives me a nice synopsis of the overall charges, any fees, expenses, taxes, any transfers, balance forward, and new balance. And on the right-hand side here, I get all the details that I want with respect to that bill. If I want to edit a particular entry, I could do the old-fashioned way and print on the bill itself, or I can come in here and make my change directly to the time entry in here, never having to write on a piece of paper. You'll notice the little checkbox here, so if I wish to want to exclude certain items, I can deselect that. And we show the details for the fees, expenses, transfer, and you also have fee distribution. Remember, we talked quickly about that. So it shows me here that Heather Gavel and Eleanor Fruit will be splitting the fees based on a certain percentage. Okay, so pretty straightforward. At this point as well, if I do want to preview the bill and print it out, I could choose print preview. And what that'll do is it'll print out the invoices, and I've selected all 5, so all 5 will show here. Now this is the standard bill template that comes with Amicus, and of course you can modify this bill template any way you want. You can put your logo in here, you can include more information, change the font, etc. So here I can see my time entries, complete with the hours, the dollar value, and totals. I do have a time summary here. I can choose to hide that if I want. I have expenses, and I also have a statement of account, prior balances, any payments, etc. I detail the payments and the signature. Okay, so pretty straightforward, and I can toggle through all my bills in this manner. Okay, now for those of you who handle trust, most of the local bars do require you to detail the trust activity on the invoices. So what you can get on your bill obviously is the trust activity on the invoice. So I can see here date of the original retainer that came in and payment of the to pay the bill at one point, and then the new balance. All right. So once I'm happy with those invoices, I basically just let's just select 2 draft bills, and let's just choose send to final. And what happens is on final bill, I'm ready to go, and I can choose print and post. And when I print and post, this little screen pops up, and it allows me to send emails to clients. Showed you that a little earlier, that I could set this up and the emails would automatically appear here. If I haven't set them up for email, I could do it at this point here by just coming in here and typing in an email. And all you need is Outlook for this, and what it'll do is it'll send the bills either directly to the client. You can customize the email, or I can actually send them to my draft folder in Outlook in case I want to review them and customize each individual email address. So that's basically it. It's pretty simple. When I do create my invoices, they do appear here. So I do have a firm-wide view of all my invoices. And again, I can sort it by date, by invoice number. And it gives me a lot of information here, how many, the amount of fees, expenses that I billed, payments that have come in, and what the aging is. I can use this list in many ways. If I'm the bookkeeper, at this point here I'm showing only the outstanding bills, but I could show only paid or all invoices. Okay, but if I'm the bookkeeper, I might come in here and use this as a means of starting to make some collection calls. I can print this list directly from here. I don't have to go run a report. The other nice thing here, you'll notice a little plus sign. If I want to see the complete bill history on that for that invoice, I just click on there and it'll show me the date of the original invoice, and it'll show me any payments or write-offs that have occurred since. Okay, so very straightforward. Now this is wonderful. Looks like it's very easy to invoice, but I also need information on how the firm is doing. So we have a series of legal specific reports. Naturally, you have your accounts receivable, your work in progress, your time and fee journal, but I'd like to show you a couple of reports which I think are very powerful, especially to a law firm. It's not really a report that a different type of business would run. So let's run this client profitability report. By the way, these reports can all be modified as well, so you can take an existing report and modify it to the way you like, or you can add your own reports. So let's run this client profitability report, and you can see I can specify different dates. I can do it for a responsible lawyer, for a billing category, etc. Let's just run it. I'm just going to click OK at this point, and it's going to take the report to the screen. And I want you to, let's grab a file here where we have lots of information. All right. Okay, so let's look at this Jameson file here. So I want you to see the rich information you have here. So here I'm showing that I've recorded 10.9 hours against the Jameson file for a total value of just over $2,000. Now, had I entered additional time on this file but made it no charge, non-billable, etc., it would have also shown here. So what this is allowing me to do is track my time even on files that maybe are fixed fee or contingency, because I want to know what the dollar value of the work that I'm actually putting into the case. Because may not necessarily be billing that way, but it still helps me to determine whether or not this is a profitable practice area, this is a profitable client, and maybe if my firm has grown, is this the right practice area that I should be expanding into? So I get a total dollar value of the work that's gone into the file. And look, this is a fixed fee file because I billed the client $25,000 even though I've only done over $2,000 worth of work. So it shows me my bill realization, all right? So I can see I bill over 1,100% more than the work I actually do. So I can see this is a very profitable case. And haven't billed all the expenses for the client, so it shows me the bill realization there. And then of the monies that I've actually billed, what have I collected? Okay, and it gives me the collection realization. So at this point, I can see, all right, so I bill a lot more than the work that I do, but my collection is only 21.56%, and then it gives me an overall margin. So very powerful productivity report that lets me monitor the profitability of the individual client. But the other thing that's nice here is, as with all Amicus reports, we also break it down by different criteria. So on the bottom here, you'll notice that I do it by file type. Okay, so I can look at the same numbers by practice area. I also do it by responsible attorney. So not only does it show me my most profitable clients, but it also shows me my most profitable practice areas and my most profitable staff. And that's typically the way law firms look at productivity, which is very different than most businesses. Okay, last one I wanted to show you is the time billing and collections report. Again, this is a nice report which gives me a concise overview, file by file. You know, how much time have I posted, how much have I billed, how much have I collected, and what's my write-up and write-down. Again, legal specific. Okay, lastly, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was the QuickBooks integration. So this is a billing package, but you can integrate this with into its QuickBooks, and what that'll do on a cash basis, it will post general journal entries to QuickBooks from any cash transaction that you do in Amicus. Nice thing about this, obviously, is when you create a file and a contact, or a client and a job, it'll get transferred over to the other system. You only have to enter it in once. It sends over the complete address information, phone numbers, emails, etc. And as I go ahead and bill my clients, and then when I receive payments, it posts those payments to QuickBooks, either from Trust or from your operating account, so that you can continue to manage your firm's finances in QuickBooks. Okay, so very slick link. Your accountant will love you. Yeah, and that's it. Again, I thank you for attending this webinar. I'm going to open this up to questions, and first question we have here is, can we do consolidated bills? Yes. So quite often you have clients that you work on multiple matters. Maybe you have a bank or an insurance company, you work on different cases. So let's look at North American Truck here, where I do have 3 files. So I could in fact go in here and say bill all files on one bill. So what that'll do is, when I create a bill, I can create the bill for the client instead of the file, and it'll be one invoice, and it'll have all the charges and payments, etc., for that file on one client. Okay. Second question, do you handle leads? Yes. Okay, so earlier I alluded to electronic billing as being a legal specific requirement, and that's basically, you need to submit invoices electronically in a prescribed format to third-party bill houses, who basically audit the bill and are responsible for getting your payment. So we do have that ability here within bill settings, in accounting. So I can say task-based billing, litigation codes, and we support Leads 98B and Litigation Advisor. And what will happen at this point is, when I do a time entry, it'll pop up the associated UTBMS codes and make sure that your data entry conforms to the requirements, allowing you to get your bills out. Okay. Third question we have here is, can we restrict access to billing? Yes, you can. So for the individual users, you can set them up as a billing administrator, which basically gives them access to the billing part of all the files and all the modules. Or you can do a billing user, which basically gives you billing access to only the files that you are assigned to, or you can completely hide billing from selected users. And a lot of firms choose to do that. All right. And I think that's it for the questions. So again, premium billing integrated with Amicus Attorney Premium is a great solution. We have thousands of happy clients on it, who tell us all the time the benefits that they receive from using integrated billing as opposed to a link. Real easy to use, easy to onboard because it looks like Amicus. No more links, no more multiple support contracts and companies blaming each other for tech support issues. So there are tons of benefits using premium billing with Premium.